Hello, everyone, and good evening. Welcome to Money Minded on Soul Sisters 10X. It is Friday night, April the 5th, 2024. Hope everyone is doing well on tonight and glad to be with you one more evening. All right, so we'll jump right into it. As I stated on last week, tonight we were going to talk about the credit score and we'll get a little bit into it and what it is, okay? So, first of all, what is a credit score? A lot of times you'll see FICA, FICA. A FICA is created by a Fair Isaac Corporation, FICO, and it is lenders use this FICO score along with other details on borrowers' reports to assess credit risk and determine whether to extend credit. So that's what it was created. That's what the credit score was created for, to order for them to figure out if they're going to extend you credit if they want to take that risk. Okay. A FICO credit scores are a method of qualifying and evaluating individuals your credit worthiness. Hello, good evening, and praise the Lord, everyone that is joining. All right, so that's what the FICO score is there to in 90% of a mortgage application. So anytime if you're going to go get a home, 90% of the time they're going to use your credit score, your FICO score, to see if they want to what your worth is and if they're going to be willing to give you that loan. Now we got to keep in mind that your FICO score isn't the only thing that they use when they're deciding if they're going to give you a loan for a mortgage, but it is one of the main things that they use. Okay. Your FICO score, credit score can be anywhere between 300 and 850, with 670 to 739 range is considered a good credit score. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Okay. Um, and then we'll also talk about ways that you can improve your FICO score by paying your bills on time, using less than 30% of your credit, and having a mix of different types of credit, which I have stated in the past. But I wanted to really start getting into the meats and potatoes of what the FICO score is and what's used, and sometimes how it's calculated and the range, so you can understand what the components are in it too when you're looking to build up your credit score. Okay. FICO scores are used in many credit decisions within the U.S. Although borrowers can explain your negative items in their credit report, many lenders deny loans to people if you don't have a certain credit score. Okay, so even though, say, you have something on your credit, on your credit scores that you can explain, well, this is a bill from 20 years ago, this is a medical bill that I'm still disputing, or something like that. Even though you can still dispute it, a lot of times if your credit score is not meeting that fair, good, very good, they'll deny you the loan. Okay, so this is why your credit score is so much important, so important. A lot of people, especially young people these days, they don't pay any attention to their credit score. They say, "Oh, I'll worry about that later." But a lot of times, when you have debt that you're ignoring and you're not paying on time, these things affect your credit score, which determines you be able to get loans and mortgages and things of that nature. Okay, so as I stated earlier, the credit score ranges anywhere from 300 to 850. 300 obviously being the lowest 850 is the highest. Okay, the score, if you're in the 670 to 739 range, that's considered to being having a good score. Okay, so you think about it, 670, that's pretty high when your credit score starts at 300. So you really got to have a good credit score to be able to get a loan or things of that nature. Okay. And borrowers in the 580 to the 669 range can find it a little bit more difficult to get loans or get credit. A lot of times you might be denied. If you're not denied and they do extend that credit, that's where they'll start charging you more interest, because they are taking a risk looking at your credit score. Okay. So to determine a credit worth, lenders take about the fiscal score into account, but they consider other details as your income, how long the borrower has been on their job, and the type of credit that you're asking. So even your credit score is one of the main things, but they're also going to consider how much money you're bringing in versus what you can pay out, because they don't want to take that risk and extend you that loan or that line of credit, and you're not making enough money to pay that loan or that credit back. Okay. They look at how long you're at your jobs. A job hopper per se, somebody who's been at their job every 6 months or whatnot, they're changing their job. That shows history to a lender. Okay, so they're thinking that there's no consistency. You don't have that consistent income coming in. All righty. So I mean, people look at me like, "Wow, you've been with Carol's for 38 years." Matter of fact, yeah, next week's my anniversary. It'll be 38 years that I've been with Carol's Corporation, my first job. That's great, and that helps and shows my consistency and my history, my worth ethic. And not only that, it also shows that I have that steady income coming in, so I wouldn't be as high risk because they know I'm going to go to work on Monday. Okay, so those are the things other than that they look at. All right, so when you talk about your credit score, there's 5 different categories in your credit score. Okay, the first one is your payment history. The second that you own. The third one is the length of credit history. The fourth one is your credit mix, and the fifth one is new credit. So there's 5 components that make up your credit score, and we'll go into each one of them a little bit here. Okay. All right, so the first one is credit history. That counts for 35% of your credit score. All right. Payment history. I'm sorry. Payment history counts for 35%. That's the biggest chunk of your credit score. So why I've been elaborating a lot, make sure that you pay your bills on time. Don't ignore it. It's not going to go away. That medical bill from 1972 one day may come back and haunt you. If I don't pay it, I won't go away. A lot of people move and things like that, and they have a national grid bill or a cell phone bill, or they leave one company to another company. Oh, I'm not going to pay that bill. That's not a good idea, because it's showing your payment history. It's showing that you're not a good paymaster. I owe T-Mobile $600 and I'm not going to pay them. I'm just going to switch to Sprint, or I'm going to go to AT&T, and all of a sudden you start accumulating all these different things, and it shows in your payment history. Okay, so this says payment history refers to whether an individual pays their credit accounts on time. So that's a huge factor too. It's not just paying them. Oh yeah, I paid them. You have to pay them on time. If you pay them late all the time, that shows a part of your credit history. All right. Credit reports show the payments submitted for each line of credit, and the report details bankruptcy, any collection items, along with any late or missed payments. All of those items are included in your payment history. Okay. So let me say that again. All right. Everything that you owe, everything, every time you get any kind of account, your history on it. Okay. If you're late, if you missed a payment, if you're in bankruptcy, if the item is in collections, it all goes on your payment history. It's going to follow you. Okay, so you just can't ignore it. It's going to be there. And remember, this is 35% of your credit score. They're looking at is your payment history. Will Sharon pay her bills on time? Sharon has that bill from 1982 that she didn't pay, and she's ignored all these years. These banks, these car loans, even landlords, studying, getting ready for tonight. sometimes they'll do a credit check on you, okay? Because the landlord doesn't want to chase you down for rent. And if they're saying if they're looking at your credit score is low, 35% of that is your payment history, they're not going to let you rent that apartment because they know that they're going to have to chase you down for rent. Okay, so 35% is your payment history. The next 30% is your accounts that you own. What do we mean by that? Accounts owned refers to the amount of money an individual owes. Having a lot of debt does not necessarily equal to a low credit score. Rather, FICA considers the ratio of money owed to the amount of credit available. So I think I explained this to you guys before. So I believe a question was about how credit cards and whatnot. Okay, credit cards can be good, but can be bad, but they also can be good. And I had talked about not closing those accounts if you're not using them. That's where this comes in at. 30% is the accounts that you own. I believe I used an example. My daughter and I were talking about our cars are almost paid for, and that credit score, that when you pay off a loan, a bill, your credit score is going to drop a few points because you are paying that off and that account is being closed. Okay, so I think I gave you an example. If you had 5 credit cards and you had $1,000 a limit on each one, okay, so that's $5,000, but you only have $100 charged on that. Okay, that's great. You're under the 30% usage. Not only that, you have a lot available to charge. So even though you don't owe that much, you can spend up to that much. That's what comes under your account owed. I hope I'm explaining this well enough. So it given a little example here. An individual who owns $10,000 but has all of their line of credit fully extended and all of their credit cards maxed out may have a lower credit score than an individual who owns $100,000 but is close to the limit on any of their accounts. It's not. Okay, so if you're that person that has $100,000 on credit cards that I can go out and spend, but my balance is 0, my credit score is going to be higher than a person who has $10,000 available to spend, but they have 50 or 60 or 70% of that already charged. Their credit score is going to be lower because they owe more. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So for I believe it was Lady Grace who asked, about credit cards. The more credit cards you have, if you have a good standing, if you have a good credit score, I myself have quite a few credit cards. I have 0 balances on them. Why don't I close them? Because it helps keep my credit score up. I have that amount available to charge if I wanted to charge, but because I don't charge and my amount that I owe is so low, it shoots my score up. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so 35% is our payment history. 30% is how much you owe. Okay, the next part is your length of credit history. And this part is worth 15%. What this means is how long you've had that loan, how long you've had that credit card. Okay. So when I look at when you look at it, you could see that a newer loan. If I go out, say I go today and I apply for a credit card, okay, and they gave me a credit card. So what's going to happen is in that category, in the length of credit history, okay, it's going to drop because I opened a new account and I've only had it for a day. Okay, so as time goes by and I have that credit card longer, my score will go in that category, will start to go up again because I've had that card a little bit longer. Well, again, hopefully that makes sense. So they look and see how long you have these accounts open. Again, I talked about that car payment. We'll do that again. My car loan was for 6 years. I have one more year left to pay on it. Okay. So because I've had it for more than 5 years, that's great. My credit score has gone up a point or two or three, depending on where you are in your credit score, because I've had that line of credit open for 5 years. I've paid it on time. Whatever the case might be, never missed a payment. Don't know about you, but I don't like giving out any more money than I have to. So I'm that girl that's going to pay her stuff on time. And a lot of these fees, even with your car payment and whatnot, make sure you take a look at it, because if they're charging you a late fee, it usually ain't $5. It's some money. Okay. Some people have expressed to me, I've seen late fees. If you for example, if your car payment, everybody's car payment, they usually give you a 10-day grace period. Oh, I got 10 days to pay on that. You do. But if you don't pay it, if it's due on the 1st and you wait till the 10th, you know what's happening between the 1st and the 10th? That's right. It's gaining interest. Okay. So you're not going to pay that loan off, right? 6-year loan. You're going to add another payment on by the end of your car payment, because you're paying that interest for those 9 days. So that's how they trick you. Oh, I got 10-day grace period, whatnot. I don't have to pay that late fee. You're right. You don't have to pay that late fee, but they're going to snatch up that good old interest in those 10 days that you don't pay. So make sure you pay on time. No, it won't affect your credit score. Okay. But it's just hurting you financially. It's not helping you be money minded when you're using all those grace periods. So you got to be careful. So your length of history is that as well. Okay. How long you've had that loan. Things like a car payment, a mortgage. Obviously, those are things that you can't help. When you pay that off, that account is going to close. That's okay. It won't hurt your credit score that bad. Okay. Especially if you have a good credit score. All right. Things like credit cards, you want to keep open. Okay. And you don't want to close those accounts, because it helps you in the length of history, which is 15% of your. One is your credit mix. It says here, credit mix is a variety of accounts. To obtain higher credit scores, individuals need a strong mix of retail accounts, things like credit cards, installation loans, such as signature loans or vehicle loans, your mortgage. Okay. So it's not good. This is where it helps to have a mixture. A lot of young people have a hard time in this category because, of course, if they have a student loan or whatnot, that's it. If they just go get a vehicle, if they don't have a credit card, if they don't have a personal loan or anything like that, they look like a mixture. They don't want all of your debt to be in one place. Okay. And this is 10% of your credit score. You know how they say they don't put all your eggs in one basket, right? You don't want to put all your credit in there. It's good to have different things. So remember, when I first started this, I was talking about good debt and bad debt. All right. A mortgage is good debt. Your car payment is good debt. It's showing payment history. It's helping you with your length of credit history, especially a 30-year mortgage or a 20-year mortgage, a 15-year mortgage. Those things are showing the length of history, and it helps. And also an account that you owe, that you own. It's something that you know that and FICA, your credit score knows that you're going to be paying off over a period of time, and it's usually years. Okay. So you want to have a mixture of those things. All right. And then lastly is new credit. New credit is 10%. Every time you write that Social Security number down and they say they're going to run a credit check, it affects your credit score. Does it kill it? Not necessarily. It depends on where it is, but it will hurt it. Okay. Every time, 10%. So if I get it all the time. Like I have pretty good credit score. I'm always getting offers. Open this credit card. Open this credit card. Go get this loan. Go get that loan. Anytime they run your social security number, okay, and they do that credit check, it's going to affect you. All right, so it says new credit refers to recently opened accounts. If a borrower has opened a bunch of new accounts in a short period of time, that indicates risk and it lowers your credit score. So what's it saying? I don't go buy a house today and a car tomorrow and open a credit card on Sunday and get a personal loan on Monday. Okay? Because when you do all that in that short period of time, it's really going to tank your credit score. So if you need things, or if you're looking for different loans or whatnot, you want to spread it out periodically, okay? Because it will hurt you, especially if your score is in that danger range. I believe it said what, 670 to 736. Yep, 670 to 739. Okay, so you don't want to get any lower than 670. And if you're rated at 670 and you go to open another account, that's going to drop your credit score, and then you're looked at as being a risk. Okay, so you want to be very, very, very careful. So let's go over that. So what we got? We got 100%. Payment history, 35%. Your accounts that you owe is 30%. The length of history is 15%. Credit mixture is 10%, and your new credit is 10%. Okay, so those are the 5 components that make up your credit score. These are the things that you want to constantly look at. Okay, so here we go with the range. Again, credit score can go from 300 all the way to 850. All right, anything from 300 to 580 is considered a poor credit score. You are a high risker. You probably won't get the loan. You probably won't get the credit card. You're probably going to get denied. Okay. If you are between 580 and 669, they consider you to be a fair credit score. What does that mean? And possibly you'll get some loans, possibly some credit cards, but you're definitely going to pay a higher interest rate because you're still considered a risk. Okay? So from 670 to 739, you have good credit score. It means it'll be easier for you to get a loan, a personal loan, a car, a mortgage, whatever the case might be. And your interest rate will be pretty fair. Okay, pretty fair, pretty easy. If you are from 740 to 799, they consider that to be very good. You have a very good. Over 800 is exceptional. Okay, if you're 800 or over, you're dynamic, you're doing great. You can get anything you want whenever you want it, probably without a down payment, or with the lowest interest rates. They're probably knocking on your door. They want you to take out loans. Come get this, come get that, because they know that you will pay them back. Okay, and that you're not a high risker. All righty. So my advice would be to go for that good to very good range. Okay, and then once you get to that good and you hit the very good, then you want to go for the exceptional. You want to try to get your credit score up to be at 800. Because again, remember, we want to be money minded. I know a lot of people probably saying, oof, that's tough. You can't do it. But you really can. If you understand what your credit score is all about, if you understand the components in it, okay, of how they figure it out, then you can increase your credit score. This is why I had talked about before too. If you have a lot of loans or whatnot, say you have 4 credit cards and your highest one is $2,000 and the lowest one you owe $150, pay that $150 one off and work your way up. Even if the interest rate on the $2,000 one is the lowest interest rate, it doesn't matter. Pay that $150 off, but you still have that open line of credit. You still own that credit card. So it's not going to hurt you. It's going to help you to get your score up. Okay? So you want to really, really pay attention to these things. Now, I had talked about goal setting, being money minded, doing your budget. This should be part of your goal. What is your goal? What is your end goal? What do you want your credit score to be? How do you want to live? Do you want to make it easy for you to be able to say, hey, if I want to go get a new car tomorrow, I can go get a new car? So you have to set those parameters up for yourself. Okay? Got to make sure that you set them up for yourself. All right. Next thing I wanted to share says, how often does your credit score, FICO, update? Every lender has its own schedule for reporting payment information to the credit bureaus. Your credit score can change roughly once a month, but it may change more often depending on how many different loans you have activated. Okay? So generally once a month, when your bills are due or whatnot, it's going to change. Right? Maybe around the middle of the month, mine kind of changes. Up a point, up 2 points, maybe dip a point, if depending if I close or open or whatnot. But if you're not doing a lot of borrowing and spending, it generally stays around the same once you get to an exceptional level. Okay. But you want to take a look at that and you want to pay attention to it. Again, I use Credit Karma. I'm quite sure there's a whole lot of different ones out there. You can also get your credit score, the FICO. If you look for FICO on any of your credit card statements, any of these companies, they usually give you a free credit score. Now, theirs is a little different than Expedia and things that these places that use the credit score, the FICO, to give you the loans and stuff. It may be a few points off because they may not go along with everything that FICO does, that FICO uses, okay? But it pretty much should be around the same. So it should update once a month, okay? And you should check it. You should make sure, just like you check your bank account, you should check your credit score because you want to know where you are, how you're doing as a borrower, okay, and how much debt you're in. That's what I like about Credit Karma too. It gives you different things that you can set in there, like the apps. Your goal, what are you looking to do? It also gives you suggestions about, maybe you want to take this loan out, or this credit card might be the best for you to help you stimulate your credit score. So I'm quite sure other ones do that. I'm only really familiar with Credit Karma because that's what I use. So that's a good thing to do and to look at. Okay. So can't ignore it. I remember trying to teach my children this at a young age or whatnot. When we get a bill, or you have something, or you sign your name on something or whatever, that loan comes to you, it's yours. Okay. Now, real briefly, my time's almost up. When you co-sign for someone, okay, so say you a cousin asks you to co-sign or something, whatever that loan that you put your name on, along with that other, your credit score too, it's going to show up on what you owe. You are the owner of that loan as well. So if they don't pay, if they're late and they're not on time, they miss payments, that's going to hurt you. My advice is don't do it. Don't do it. I mean, it's up to you, but don't do it. A quick short story. My daughter was 18 and she was establishing her credit and whatnot. And her cousin wanted to go get a car, and she didn't have any credit, but my daughter did. So my daughter went ahead and she came in, Mom, no, don't co-sign. Don't do it. Don't do it. So long story short, she did. And unfortunately, her cousin never paid one payment, never paid one. And and my daughter was 18 at the time, and it hurted her for years. And it took her a long time to get herself established back up, because now that debt was totally on her, and never drove the car, never got any benefits out of it. Okay. So be careful with that. Making sure that you realize that. Now, it's not just for co-signing on like a car payment. Sometimes it means that for credit cards as well. Okay. So I have a credit card, and do you want to put anybody else down as on the credit card? And say I wanted to put my daughter or put my son's name down for them. Okay, that's on me because the account's in my name. But if I make it a joint account where both of it, then it's on both of us. So if they go out and spend and they're not paying on their portion and whatnot, then it comes back on me. My advice, my suggestion, don't do it. Okay. Don't do it. Sometimes you got to be a little selfish when it comes to things. And this is just to help you be a little better being money minded. Okay. So that is our show for tonight. Talking about credit scores. Remember, you want the 5 components of the credit score. Remember, your goal should be good or higher. Good, very good, or exceptional. And make sure you take a look at it. And again, I have to put it in there. If you give God what he's owed first, trust me, he will open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing. You won't have room to receive, and it will help you be better money minded. God bless you. Y'all have a great evening. Lord will, we'll see you again. Take care.